Right now at 6, what brand new video reveals about the chemical tank blast in Longview and the circumstances that led to the deaths of 11 workers.
We've used the word explosion, we've used the word implosion, I've also used the word failure.
Plus, why the Multnomah County District Attorney is once again calling out county leaders and how they're pushing back.
No matter what fuzzy math the county commissioners may tell you, we lost $3.5 million.
And later,
the queen of the 2026 Portland Rose Festival is
a royal coronation for one of Portland's most beloved traditions,
including something that hasn't happened at the Rose Festival in more than a decade. But first, to breaking news in Northeast Portland, where a 12-hour standoff with an armed suspect in an apartment has just ended. Police got him into custody after he climbed onto the roof and jumped onto a tree near Northeast 122nd Avenue.
Let's get straight to Jake Holter live near that scene with an update from police. Jake?
Yeah, David and Christine, this was really quite the ordeal here today. Yeah, we just spoke to police about 10 minutes ago, and they tell us that part of this issue was after multiple rounds of tear gas being deployed into the apartment. They said he withstood that for longer than they'd anticipated, but eventually it just became too much, so he ended up climbing out the balcony up onto the roof. And they say he was on the roof for quite some time. They were using drones to monitor him because they had to kind of do risk versus reward in this situation. They knew that him being on the roof was dangerous, and they knew that it would be dangerous to put officers on the roof as well. But eventually it reached a point where they had to go ahead and do that. They brought a ladder truck in to get some of those officers onto the roof. Once on there, he decides to make a run for it, jumps over to a tree, lands on a branch, and then is able to make it down to the ground. But once he got down on the ground, that is when officers were able to take him into custody. They used multiple things here. They said they employed dogs and robots. It was a very, very long ordeal. The hostage she made it out earlier. That was this morning, and it has just been for hours and hours now trying to get him out. I'll have you take a listen to Sergeant Kevin Allen as he recounts a little bit of the scene today.
He was running around on the roof to try to get away from us, but eventually jumped onto the tree and kind of swung down. He's lucky. I mean, if he had fallen straight down from there, he really could have been seriously injured.
They also say that he was armed with a handgun, and they will be pursuing domestic violence charges in this case. Sergeant Allen also wanted to acknowledge the burden that this placed on the community because Southeast 122nd is so heavily traveled. They hope to have it open as soon as they can, but they said just with all that equipment, it will still take a while. David and Christine?
Appreciate your continued reporting throughout the evening. Jake Holter in Northeast Portland. Thank you, Jake.
Well, let's switch now to a live look from our Vancouver sky camera. The Springs at the waterfront, 65 degrees in the Rose City. Looking good on a Friday evening with the Rose Festival in full swing.
Celine Stevens is in the Weather Center for us. Celine, hoping for some little, maybe decent weather, especially with the Grand Floral Starlight Parade on Saturday.
Christine, you know, we're going to see some shower activity all day tomorrow, unfortunately, but it's not going to be heavy precipitation, so that is the good news. But taking a live look right now at our Salem sky camera at the moment, 64 degrees, winds coming out of the northwest at 13 miles per hour. And so looking at our radar, as you can see, Portland is remaining dry for right now. All the rain has been concentrated up to the north, and that's where we're seeing some of that rainfall. But again, 65 degrees here at home, 67 in the Dalles. Along the coast, we're seeing more 50s, 59 in Tillamook, 57 in Astoria. So here's where we're going. Although, as we just saw, we're dry right now, and that rain is to our north. As we get into the evening and into early tomorrow morning, we're going to have that widespread shower activity come over our area and really last all day long. As you can see, we're going to be holding on to those showers until the evening, until we get to Sunday, and that's when we're going to get a bit of a break. We're going to dry out, have some clouds, and then by the time we get to Monday, another front is going to move in and bring us even more rainfall into next week. So here's just a quick little sum up, I guess, of your weekend. Here's what we have going on. Tomorrow, the showers, also a possibility of thunderstorms, and if we see that, expect even more rain. And then Sunday, we do dry up before we get even more rain after that. I'll talk more details in a bit.
Okay, thank you, Celine.
In your headlines tonight, deputies in Clark County say one person is in custody after a deadly stabbing in Battleground. The sheriff's office says 2 people were stabbed around 1:30 this afternoon west of State Route 503 near Northeast 117th Avenue and 244th Street. That appears to be a residential and relatively rural area. A man died at the scene and a woman was taken to the hospital.
Multnomah County commissioners have finalized a $4 billion budget, which includes major cuts to homeless services. Nearly 700 shelter beds will be phased out this summer, leaving the county with about 1,700 remaining. Overall, 158 full-time county jobs were cut, some of them vacant. Now, when it comes to public safety, the budget maintains capacity at the 2 county jails and even restores 4 prosecutors in the district attorney's office. It also adds over $800,000 to the DA's digital evidence unit. And while that may sound good, DA Nathan Vasquez says his department took a major hit, saying they'll lose, quote, many positions without giving specifics.
No matter what fuzzy math the county commissioners may tell you, we lost $3.5 million. We saw people like Commissioner Singleton flat out ignore their community. She repeatedly voted against public safety, particularly any amendments that had to do with the district attorney's office.
Now, in a statement, Commissioner Shannon Singleton, who is also running for county chair, says she's proud of the investments the county was able to make in housing, sustainability, and support for immigrants.
Caught on camera, a suspect vandalizing the Albina Head Start building on Northeast Alberta. The video is from 9 on Sunday morning. You can hear the suspect muttering something to himself as he walks up to the big glass windows and then, begins throwing rocks. The suspect ran off and police say they have not made any arrests.
Portland police say one person is dead after a 2-vehicle crash along Southeast Powell Boulevard this morning. Here's a look at the scene at Powell and 56th around 7 a.m. Investigators say after they arrived, one driver was rushed to the hospital where they died. The other driver remained at the scene and is cooperating with police. So far, no one has been charged.
To new video now this evening from Washington's Department of Ecology from the site of that chemical tank failure at a Longview paper mill. This was recorded on Thursday and shows part of the break room that was demolished in the blast that killed 11 workers. You can see it there along with destroyed vehicles and a closer look at what is left of the tank that contained the caustic chemical known as white liquor.
Now, over the past week and a half, officials have used a variety of terms to describe what happened with the tank: implosion, blast, collapse.
Kyle Boshi's in the newsroom to explain why the choice of words matters. Kyle?
One thing we do know, the disaster was sudden and catastrophic. 11 people died. Now it will be up to state and federal investigators to determine the root cause and the right words to describe it.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
In their initial calls for help, workers at Nippon Dynawave Packaging in Longview reported a tank imploded.
We're reporting a tank imploded. It looks like there's 3 people with chemical burns and 1 subject is missing.
In the days after the disaster, emergency officials and the media continued to describe it as an implosion, along with various other terms.
This was a blast. We've used the word explosion, we've used the word implosion, I've also used the word failure. Indeed, there was a rupture, a failure, a blast. All of those to us mean the same. It's not why it happened, it's the damage that we observed.
In a statement to investors, Nippon Paper described the event as a tank collapse. But the distinction, implosion, blast, or collapse, isn't just semantics. An industrial safety consultant says words matter.
It's important to get the terminology right because it starts you down a path.
Mike Schmidt of Bluefield Process Safety warns implosion could point investigators toward problems with pressure or venting. A collapse could raise questions about corrosion or aging equipment. Different failures require different solutions.
If they've been told it was an implosion, they'll start thinking, what do we need to do to our other tanks to prevent them from imploding? And they might spend a lot of energy and effort protecting other tanks from implosions when implosions aren't really the problem that they need to be dealing with.
State and federal investigators are already trying to determine what happened. And when they're done, we'll know how best to describe this tragedy and what can be done to prevent it.
So what's the timeline for answers? Some of the state investigations could take up to 6 months. The Federal Chemical Safety Board investigation could take more than a year.
And imagine that some of those 11 families think that's a long time to wait, Kyle, for answers.